Hey nerds, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be reviewing the new CGI version of Aladdin. Okay, so this movie was very interesting. I mean, of course, the story itself isn't any different than the original Aladdin movie, so I can't really judge it too much on its storyline, but I can judge it on many other things. You guys know that I have a lot of opinions when it comes to Disney and just movies in general. I'm a pretty big movie critic, like verbally to my friends, in my mind when I'm watching it. I'm just very judgy. So we're going to go through what I felt like was the bad, the good, and then my overall impressions. So let's start off with the bad so we can end on a high note. So number one, acting. Acting is a really big thing for me when I go to the movies or when I watch a TV show. So two people didn't make me feel as much as I thought they should have. And those are the lead actor and actress, Aladdin and Jasmine. Also, I should point out, I don't know anybody's name except for Will Smith. But I'm not good with actors and actresses' name. I don't care about them. I care about their character. So I'm going to refer to them as their character name. Aladdin, in some instances, he was good. It was very funny. When it was a comedy part between him and Genie, or Genie was in the scene, it made it fun. It made it funny. I liked those interactions. And anytime it was supposed to be humorous, he did a pretty good job. But anytime he was supposed to be serious or heartfelt or emotional, I didn't feel any of those things. I never connected with him in his role. And then the same thing with Jasmine. Sometimes I could feel a little bit. I felt like her acting was okay, but she didn't get me involved in the story. I didn't feel her emotion. In some scenes, I did feel it a little bit. In the scenes where Jafar takes over and he becomes Sultan, and that whole interaction when she gets her her individual song about not being silent, like that song, loved it. And that whole scene was pretty good as a whole. She could have gone a little bit further for me to make me feel more connected and like this is actually her feeling this way. It still kind of felt like it was just an actress playing a part. And then the next character that I really want to talk about is Jafar. Jafar really disappointed me. I already figured I wasn't going to get the feel that I wanted from him just from the previews because he's young and attractive. And that is not Jafar. Jafar is a decrepit, old, evil, creepy man. And this actor did not do the best job at that. I felt some of the evil, the angry, the resentment. I felt some of those things, but I felt like he tried too hard to evoke his gritty side and his anger to where it felt forced. I also felt like he didn't give me anything on the creep factor. In one scene, he goes up and sniffs Jasmine, but then Raja growls at him and he backs up. That scene, I'm like, what was the purpose of that? Jafar is supposed to be creepy and alluring, and I just didn't feel any of those things. It was a big disappointment. The Sultan, he was just there. His acting was atrocious. I don't have much to say about him though because he wasn't a major component in this version of the movie. The next thing I had a slight problem with, but then I also liked at the same time, was the wardrobe and set. So the wardrobe and set as a whole looked really good. I loved all the vibrant colors. I loved the feel that I got. All of those things were great. But one thing that really bothered me is in the whole beginning of the movie when Aladdin is Aladdin before he turns into Prince Ali, this man never once is dirty. He lives on the streets with a monkey and his clothes look freshly pressed. I'm confused. The only time he actually looked dirty to me was once he was Prince Ali and he was wearing this all-white outfit, and in a scene he goes back into the city. He looked a little dingy there, but that was the only time anybody looked dirty in this movie, which blows my mind. Also, when it comes to set design props, I must talk about Jafar's staff. That thing was blowing me every time I saw it. It looked so cheap and plastic. It looked like it would come with a kid's Halloween costume if Littlefoot decided he wanted to dress up as Jafar. It was just blowing my mind. Even when it transformed into his sorcerer's version of a staff, it still looks super cheap. I'm like, come on, Disney, you got all this money for everything else. Like, fix my man's staff. It looks like he's commanding people with a little plastic toy. Okay, so now that we've gotten most of the bad out of the way, what are some of the good things? What did I enjoy about this movie? One of the biggest things that I enjoyed about this movie is that it was really Will Smith's adaptation of Aladdin. So there was so much concern going into this movie that Aladdin can't stand up to Robin Williams. He can't play this role. Nobody can replace Robin. He's such an icon. The CGI looks awful. Blah, 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 blah. So from the jump, I have said that I didn't agree with people's thoughts and opinions. I understand Robin Williams. When you think of Genie, that's usually what you think of. But unfortunately, like, Robin is no longer with us. So if they want to do a remake of Aladdin, then they have to choose another character, like another actor. And I think they did a phenomenal job choosing Will Smith. I think he did a really good job evoking his version of Genie. So I really like that they put a different flair, a different twist on it, so that you're not trying to compare it to the old Aladdin when it comes to Genie. It definitely gives it more of a hip-hop, more rhythmic type feel, because that is who Will Smith is. Like, he started off as a rapper and he brought some of that into this movie. You know, you hear a lot more of the rhythm, you hear a lot more of the hip-hop within the remakes of these songs. You feel Will Smith in it. And as he's playing and singing and dancing, you're like, yeah, this works. This really fits. So I really enjoyed him in this role. And every scene that he was in, I loved it because he brought so much to it with his goofiness, his silliness, sometimes his seriousness. And it just made this each scene better when it would have been dry without him. Now, onto the CGI. The CGI was not the best thing I've seen. But I think I'm starting to realize Disney does phenomenal CGI when it comes to animals and inanimate objects. But they do not so great of a job when it comes to people. I felt the same way about Samuel L. Jackson in Captain Marvel when they made him look young. So the rest of his body and his movements, they felt organic and they seemed to flow. But his face and his head didn't quite match his body's movements. And I didn't like that. I'm not going to say it was horrible. It was definitely watchable. But because the CGI was such a concern going into this movie, I made sure to pay extra close attention to it so I can tell you guys my opinion. Now, I do feel like they could have done a much better job, but the rest of him as a whole was pretty good, minus the face. Again, like I said, the face is doable. So that's just in my review category. Not good, not bad, but meh. Another thing that I really liked that I didn't think I was going to is the addition of 2 new characters. There was one that was a prince that was brought in to court Jasmine. This man was an absolute buffoon and quite dim, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed his interactions. I enjoyed just being able to laugh at and make fun of him in this movie because that was the purpose of him. And the second character that I really enjoyed that I was not expecting to enjoy is Dahlia. Her character was so awkward and played perfectly for what it was supposed to be. She was so awkward, she was so funny, and she brought a lot to her role, and I was not expecting that. I felt like she must really be this awkward. She must really act like this. Now, whether she does or not, I have no clue, but she did her job in this role, and I loved it. The last thing I really enjoyed about this movie, and it wouldn't have been the same without them, is the animal companions that both Jafar and Aladdin have. Abu is absolutely Aladdin's #1 man. Half the stuff that he made it through, he wouldn't have made it through in the movie. Multiple times throughout the movie, I felt like Aladdin wouldn't be alive or have survived if it wasn't for Abu. So I really enjoyed his addition. Although, I thought it was weird that they kept saying monkey so much in this movie. I understand that he's a monkey. They just kept calling him his monkey, your monkey, my monkey, the monkey. We get it. Abu is a monkey. But Abu also has a name, which is Abu. But aside from Abu, the other character that I really liked is Iago. Now again, Jafar, just like Aladdin, would be nowhere without Iago. Iago showed up everywhere in this movie. Anytime Aladdin was in or around the palace, there was Iago spying on him, collecting intel, and relaying it to Jafar. Jafar wouldn't have even known that Aladdin was in the palace the first time he was there if it wasn't for Iago. So if I had to rate this movie, I think I'm going to give it a 3.75 out of 5. And the reason I'm going to give it that rating is because it is a remake of a movie that already exists. So it gains major points just from that feat alone. But that's just my thoughts and opinion on the movie. I'd definitely love to hear yours. So that's going to do it for me in this video, guys. If you like this video, feel free to hit that thumbs up button down below. And while you're down there, let me know in the comment section, how did you feel about Aladdin if you've seen it? And if you have, do you agree with my opinions or do you think they're too harsh as usual? If you're new to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can stay in the know of all the nerdy, and hit that bell notification. And be sure to share this video and my channel with anybody you think may enjoy. But as always, guys, keep it nerdy.